We're happy to have everyone join us. Thank you for pivoting and joining us this afternoon for this opportunity with our Build Business 2020 committee. We are delighted to have you. We're going to get started. Today's moment is being moderated by our S&PS Chief Marketing Officer, Josh Miles, myself, Marcy Thompson. We have Lauren Waldron, our Associate Director of Marketing, and we have Simra, who is our wizard, pulling all the strings in the background. So thank you for joining us, and we are going to get started. If you have questions, please put them in the chat box. We're going to be monitoring that and answering your questions throughout this program. And if you, that's really what we're going to be doing. If you could turn your cameras on, I'm just trying to see all the smiling faces. But again, if you have questions, please put them in the chat box, and we are ready to get started. Josh, over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We thought it would be fun to take some time, both for folks who've maybe never been to a Build Business before, and also none of us have been to a virtual Build Business experience before. So we thought we would take some time just to talk to the committee and hear all the things that we're excited about, some of the things that you can expect, some things that'll be different, maybe even some things that'll be the same. And before we jump in, we're going to have each of the committee members say hello and introduce themselves. They're going to tell you their name, where they work, what their role on the committee has been, and maybe what they would put in their quarantine time capsule. Gavin, you want to get us started?
Sure. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, depending where you are in the country. My name is Gavin Parr. I am the CEO of CCS International, a national cost management firm. And my role in the committee is the immediate past chair of the committee. This is my fourth year on it. And I'm, if I was going to be putting something in the 2020 time capsule, it would probably be some Propecia.
Nice. We'll go over to Bethany, who's just down the street from me in Cincinnati. Bethany, introduce yourself and what's in your time capsule.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Bethany Smith. I am Marketing and Corporate Communication Vice President for Messer Construction Company. And as Josh said, I am in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am the incoming chairperson for Build Business this year. And if I was going to put something in my 2020 quarantine time capsule, well, when I was first asked this question, I said absolutely nothing because I don't want to remember 2020. But then when I was told I had to put something in, of course, the first thing that came to mind was a case of wine. I mean, at least that would be a fun way to not have to remember 2020.
It's worth opening it up then in the future.
That's right.
Okay, so carrying us on the West Coast, Kenda, what would be in your time capsule to say hello to all of our friends here?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. If I had to put something in my time capsule, I'm going to answer that because you asked that question first. I think that, the memory wiper tool from Men in Black, I definitely need that in my time capsule. And I am Kenda Salisbury. I oversee business development for Dig and Kolb Structural Engineers in the Pacific Northwest.
Excellent. It just turns out that I have a flashy thing right here in my time capsule, so we can we can use that. Donna, let's go on to you. Please introduce yourself. Say hello.
I will say hello, but first, seeing your faces made me realize how much I miss everybody. So I'm so glad you're all on. I'm Donna Jakubowicz. I'm brand manager at Wade Trim in Detroit. And let's see, if I had to put something in the time capsule, aside from a lot of alcohol, we've been doing a lot of yard work this spring and summer. I would also put extra gloves, gardening gloves, in my time capsule.
Good. We don't want calluses from 2020. And the captain of this ship called Build Business, Wally, please say hello.
Hey, everybody. My name is Wally Heiss. I work for HDR. I'm a senior vice president, work in our Salt Lake City office. And my role is conference chair for Build Business 2020. My COVID capsule would have two things in it. The first would be probably the 2 months of March and April when it was nonstop work. I would put that in the COVID capsule and I would never take it out again. When all of our clients, healthcare and federal clients were clamoring for stuff, we're just going to put that away, never see it again. The thing that I would take out, though, would be I actually learned how to work productively from home. So I'm going to keep that with me.
Very nice. Love it. So we have assembled a few questions and a few thoughts from the committee about things that we thought might be important to all of you all. You may have additional questions. We would encourage you to put those in the chat. You can send that down at the very bottom of Zoom if you turn your little chat function on and you send that to HQ Marcy. Then Marcy will route that out to us as we're chatting. So feel free to add those questions as we go or comment or whatever. We will look for all those questions and we'll add those. But to get us started, Kenda, I'll pick on you to begin with. Thank you so much for volunteering to go first. What are some of the tracks and sessions that you're excited about? And what are folks going to be able to take back to their firm? And you're still on mute.
This is what happens when you tell me to mute in between.
That's all my fault.
It is. I'm blaming you. Thank you for allowing me to go first, Josh. I appreciate that opportunity. I would say this year the session tracks were built around 5 main themes to help you address the current global climate. These themes are business resilience, client engagement and business development, communications, technical skills, and workplace equality. What can you take back to your firm? So much more than you normally can, because this time we're going to allow you to take some of the sessions on demand so that you can watch at your leisure.
Excellent. That question reminds me of something that I think I heard from Frank Lippert, who just happens to be on the call here, at the very first Build Business that I attended in Chicago, which for some of you was like very recent history. For me, it was number 1, which was writing up that email kind of as you go and writing down today at SMPS, I learned, and keeping notes of all those things. So especially in the virtual environment, being able to share those takeaways. So Kenda, we appreciate that all those topics, those feel so current and relevant. And it's awesome that we have just a hyper focus on that this year. But Frank, I'll never forget that little tip. And I hear you say that early and often. Well, hey, let's move on to question number 2. So Bethany, how do you think this virtual conference is going to feel different, and what should attendees really expect from it as an experience?
So I'll give you my actual answer instead of the smart aleck answer that I wanted to give. How about that? So how it's going to feel different? Well, one, we're physically not going to be able to touch each other. So that's really going to feel different. However, we're going to be able to offer so much more this year than we typically would. We don't have to worry about time zones and flying people places, and somebody's flight got canceled and this happened and this happened. So we are able to bring you a lot of different presenters and speakers from all over the country, and from other industries, which is going to be really exciting. So I know it's something we've been leaning towards the past few years. And I think this year we've really been able to do a good job of reaching outside of our comfort zone and bringing some different types of folks to the table to be able to speak to all of us. And I think the expectation from the experience, I'm going to say, is it's really going to be about what you put into the experience. You can have a passive experience if you want to, and just, tune into things and watch the in demand when you want to. But if you want to have a really active, give and take experience in this virtual conference, you're going to be able to do that with the different platforms and the different things that we have, the different types of sessions that we're doing are really going to allow you to get as much out of this as you put into it.
Yeah, I don't think that's a huge change from years before. You really get out of these what you put into them. And The more sessions that you attend, we've got just tons of potential CEUs available. Lots of sessions, lots of CEUs, 50 plus sessions and 40 plus CEUs. That's a pretty big stack. So if you're committed to attending as many as possible, I think this is a really great return, a really great value. Let's go back to Kenda for, do we want to talk some more about topics and themes, or do you feel like you hit that one already?
Oh, no, I've got more for you, Josh.
Okay, well, good. Let's hit me. Give me some more topics and themes.
So we've really focused, the conference committee focused on skills to help you build your skills, let me try that again. Conference committee worked on sessions to build your skills, push your boundaries, and help give you the tools to help your company succeed during these difficult times. We really focused on building your practical skills like photography, videography, infographics, InDesign, and client journey mapping. We're also including sessions on diversity, unconscious bias, people management, and communications, specifically crisis communications, which is something I don't know a lot about and I'm looking forward to learning more on. For those of you looking for the standards like branding, proposal development, business development, leadership skills, etc., we've got you covered too. I'd have to say one of the sessions that I'm really looking forward to this year is called Am I a Jerk? It's a session about unconscious bias, and it has been interesting to me since I first read the session outline. I'm also looking forward to a panel that Donna Jacobowitz put together on competitive advantages of using philanthropy in the AEC industry.
Very cool. Build business. We've got the skills that pay the bills. So, Wally, some people are probably looking at the schedule and going, man, it's a ton of content. I'm excited there's a ton of content. What if I have conflicts during the day? Am I going to be able to catch up on any of this later?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of the sessions, well, you'll see as you look at the schedule at a glance, some of them are live and it's that Cadmium platform. Many of them are pre-recorded, and we'll also be recording the ones that are live. So you'll be able to come back and it's just like what somebody said earlier. I think it was Kenda. If you've got a conflict and you can't be in a session, you can just dial it up later on the weekend at night, when you've got some free time the next day, pop back in and you'll be able to get the benefit of really all the content that we're bringing.
I think that's fantastic. Bethany, do you want to weigh in on this one? How will this be different than other virtual events and other virtual conferences?
Well, that's easy. You have us, right? No, but seriously, what I think is really great about what we're doing is, first of all, you've got an entire week of programming, and it's all done in these smaller chunks. So we're, instead of asking people to sit at their computer virtually for 8 straight hours, you can do it for 2 or 3 hours a day. You can do it just an hour over your lunch if you want to, because of the on-demand. So it really is, it's a conference that's been designed to work around, a virtual conference that's been designed to work around your schedule and your life. Additionally, we are still going to have an evening of excellence, and we are still going to be able to celebrate what makes SMPS great, and that's all of the different people that we have, all of our members and their creative minds. I know I, for one, had already purchased my dress for the Black Tie event, so I will be wearing it, even sitting in my own family room. So you're not going to want to miss that. We're still going to make it fun and exciting, and I just think that you're still going to be able to be, learning and experiencing with your best friends from across the world, which is what makes SMPS so exciting.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, I was going to ask, Donna, do you want to add anything?
I do. Bethany mentioned the fun factor, but we are bringing the fun factor. You're not going to have virtual yoga or DJ entertainment at the WEFTech conference, right? there's also the emotional component. We are SMPS. We are emotionally connected people. And so we're going to have that too. You're going to be moved by the Max talks and uplifted and energized by the keynotes.
Absolutely. Wally, there are different session formats and types of sessions that we're seeing on that schedule at a glance. Can you give us an indication of like kind of what some of the differences are between those?
Yeah, sure, Josh. To do that, let me kind of go backwards a little bit in time. So I know a lot of people on the call have been to Build Business, but we do have some newcomers too, right? So a normal Build Business would look like platform sessions, right? 60 to 75 minutes in a room with lots of people, and you'd be listening to somebody talk about a great topic. And then we also had, through the years, M-Live sessions. We started those a couple of years ago with kind of a panel session. We had the Mind Exchange sessions, which were really fun, kind of like a group open format discussion. And then, of course, the skills labs were pre-conference stuff, right? And those were kind of extended sessions. They might be like 4 hours learning really in-depth in design, for instance. So that's how things were, all right? Coming into October, we've got a really new and different format. And I want to go through each of these sessions really quickly to kind of give you guys some insight into how they were developed. So we've got what we're calling our transformation sessions. And that would be like the typical 60 to 75 minute session that you would see, right? Normally we've got like 30 of them or 35. So what we did when we replanned for about the third time is we went back and we took the top 12 sessions, the top 12 abstracts, the best of the best. And that's what you'll see in these transformation sessions, all right? So that's going to be really fun. Those are on demand. You can start watching them on Monday. Second thing is we developed what we're calling the focus forward format, okay? And so those are really quick hitting 30-minute sessions. If you think, all of us, well, many of us work in engineering architecture firms. Our technical folks go to conferences, and the 30-minute session is kind of a routine for technical people, right? So we developed this format because the pace of 2020 has been so fast. We thought, hey, let's introduce some quick hitting, fast paced sessions, and that's what you're going to see in Focus Forward, okay? Then we've got hackathons, right? So hackathons are almost like the Mind Exchange on steroids. It's going to be a big open virtual collaboration room facilitated session where we'll be talking about some really great content. You'll see those on the schedule. And then the last thing is what we're calling skills accelerator sessions, okay? So those are 45-minute sessions, and because it's not really practical to do like a 4-hour learning hands-on thing in this virtual format, we went back to some of the basics, things like communications and proposals, lots of really great content in a 45-minute session. So those are really the 4 things that we've got, which is great diversity, really great variety. And I will add that the Focus Forward sessions and the hackathon sessions are really contemporary topics. Okay, those are things that as we were replanning this conference, it's like, what are people dealing with today that we need to be talking about to help them through 2020 and getting into 2021? So I refer to the hackathon and Fast Forward as really contemporary, current topics that I think everybody's going to really enjoy.
Good stuff. Wally, thanks for sharing all the detail. Kenda, this is kind of similar to the first question. So at some point you can tell me to quit asking you questions, but what are there some other ways that I can use to really help my firm? Like, what are things that you think you're going to walk away with or attendees are going to walk away with to really help the firm out?
Well, I can't tell you what you should do, but I can tell you what I do. So before a conference, I write down the challenges I'm having and that my company's experiencing. And this really helps me concentrate on the sessions I go to and the notes that I take. When I return from a conference, usually on the plane ride home, so I'm going to have to find a new way or to divorce myself from my home to make my notes to share. So I create a to-do list. This list generates my ideas, the tools I want to check out, the books that people have recommended to me, and the people I want to follow up with. So everything is fresh in my mind. When I get back to the office, I send an email out to all of my technical team members and on the skills and themes I think we can implement immediately. And then I follow up with a larger group discussion at a later date. I always think back to what Bethany Smith does with her notes. She distills everything from the conferences down to main themes, and then she shares these themes and how she sees these being implemented within her firm. So I try to emulate Bethany in that. I don't know, does that what you're looking for there?
Absolutely. Good stuff. I love the idea that you're going to somehow hide yourself away in your house somewhere and make your little list. So you'll have to let us know.
There are only 3 rooms, so it's going to be
the choices are almost endless.
You might have to borrow your notes with 50 sessions. That's going to be a lot of notes.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Gavin, I wanted to ask you if we can expect you to wear flip-flops this year, but the actual question I'm going to ask you is, how do you think attending Build Business is going to help our attendees transform their firms?
That's a great question. And I'm going to look at it from a couple different levels. One, when I looked at my first Build Business, it took me a little bit to sort of get my feet under me. That was more of a personal growth conference for me where, I tapped the person next to me to find out who their name was. I had no idea what SMPS was. I had no idea what branding was. I didn't take a business class. But it gave me the confidence when I took it back to the office to ask questions I might have not have asked before. For me, that was personal growth. I made a jump from marketing to business development at one point, and that made me take a look at how I interacted with individuals, the type of communication that I have to do, what the perception is of the company I worked for. And that all came from the individuals I spoke with. I have attended over the course of 15 or 16 different Build Businesses now, but everything from brand awareness, processes and procedures, even leadership transition are all things that we've implemented within CCS to be able to help each other in this transitional phase or this transformational environment we're all working in right now. The ability to have some of these skill sets and know your team, and also the fact that the team trust you and your skill sets and your leadership ability. So I feel that not only has it grown me personally, but in doing that, the company has grown as well. And that to me is really what, when we're attending conferences like these and looking at investments, this is a no-brainer every time. It really is. We get a lot out of this conference, and it's different people get different things from the conference based on backgrounds or just seniority in the industry. I really hope that helped.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Hey, before we go over to Marcy to look for what some of our questions are coming in from the group, and this is your prompt. If you have a question and you haven't sent it in yet, please put that in the chat over to HQ Marcy. Donna, why don't you wrap up our initial questions here with this one, which is, are there any sessions addressing how to move forward with business related to COVID-19?
Yes. The business resiliency track was developed specifically with addressing life after COVID in mind. Sessions on change management, economic trends, risk management, agile marketing will offer not only ideas for conducting business after COVID, but also for helping our firms develop solid foundations for dealing with the next big crisis, right? Because there will be another one. I also wanted to say, COVID is a big deal right now, of course, but there have been social injustice is big on everybody's minds right now, too, with the protests and everything that's going on. And there are several sessions in the conference that can help us. Sessions like unconscious bias, corporate philanthropy can help us make small changes that can have impact. So we have those kinds of sessions to help deal with just current events in general. This conference is focused on current events beyond COVID.
Sometimes even the tech geek has tech problems, kids. This happens to the best of us and the worst of us. So we're going to go over to the questions now. And before we go into your questions, I have a question for you all. And the committee can't answer this because they already got a chance at the preview of this. But our first opening keynote is none other than Mark Schulman, who's the drummer for Pink, maybe best known as drummer for Pink. He's been in the industry for a long time. So answer in the chat if you can name one or more of the other individuals or acts that he has drummed for. Who's got an answer for us? Who's going to answer first? Make sure and send that to all. Anybody have any ideas? Or maybe just unmute yourself and blurt it out. Like, who's got the answer here? Yeah, no Googling. As you're all Googling. Too late. Who's got the answer? Do we have no answers?
We're going to have to let Kenda talk.
Okay, Kenda.
We got a lot of old people.
All right, Kenda.
Josh.
Oh, sweetie.
Mark Schulman might be older than all of us put together.
Mark Schulman would be right up your alley then.
He was a drummer for Cher. So Frank, I don't want to hear it. I know you're not you're not that old. And was it Foreigner? And Bethany's favorite band that I can't remember?
No, Velvet Revolver.
That's what it was.
And we all also would have accepted Billy Idol as an answer.
That was the other one.
I have Billy Idol stories that'll make your eyelashes curl. We'll save that for later.
That's going to be on a non-recorded broadcast. So let's move on to some of the questions. Marcy, do you want to throw out some of our questions here?
Sure. So one of our first questions that came in, so how is networking going to look? How is that going to take place? So I'm going to punt that over to our logistics guru, Simra, and she's going to help us out with that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And we have a lot of fun things lined up. I know Donna mentioned we have the DJ, we have yoga, we have a couple other things in store. And of course, right now, everyone's looking for how am I going to be engaged in a virtual setting? How am I going to connect with other attendees and things like that? So we have set up in different forms ways for people to be able to connect with each other. There's going to be a really fun dynamic experience that I don't want to spoil. So I'm going to wait till everybody actually shows up the week of the conference to experience that overall. But I guarantee you, I have not seen this done anywhere else right now. And it is a lot of fun and it keeps the energy really high. So there's going to be other ways for people to be able to communicate by chat and other types of breakout groups and things like that. So we're looking forward to making sure that everybody is able to connect with each other and meet each other and maybe make some new contacts, because we know we have a lot of people that have come from previous years, but we have a lot of newcomers as well. And of course, because of it being virtual, it's that much more of a reach that we're able to have people participate that really hadn't had a chance to before. So we're really excited about that. And I'll give it back to you.
That's great, Simra. And I'll just add, of course, we're going to have our CPSM forum. You will get information about that. It's going to be open to all CPSMs. We'll be hosting our Fellows Forum. That information is coming out next week. Again, it will be open to all fellows, ones that are registered and not registered. So we're excited about those programs coming to life. Then you'll receive and see information on our reunions. We'll be hosting happy hours and all those sorts of things. So there will be multiple ways for you to engage in a group setting like this. And to give a little a bit more information on what Simmer was talking about. We won't give you the full details because it is really dynamic and we think you'll enjoy it, but there will be opportunities for you to connect one-to-one and network with one-to-one, and we'll be pairing you up with those folks. So we're really thrilled about what will be offered and we think that you'll enjoy it. So Please keep the questions coming in. One other question: what software platform will we need to participate? So we will be using Cadmium. They are the same vendor that we've used in the past for our Build Business app, but it's going to be a desktop experience, of course, because most of us are home and it's difficult to have this entire experience in a mobile environment. You will receive login details just as you have received in the past. You'll get an email with your username and your password. When you log into the portal, you will have access to all content. There will be direct links to the live programs, to the awards program. It is extremely user-friendly, and once you get in, it will look very familiar, especially if you've attended Build Business in the past. If not, again, we promise it's extremely user-friendly and the schedule is crystal clear, so you won't miss a thing. That was a great question. Another question that came in: since Pinnacle and Build Business is coming up, what are the differences that you might get out of Pinnacle versus Build Business? And I'm going to punt that over to Josh.
That's great. And now my microphone unmute situation is working better. A little pro tip that I gave to the committee right before the call is if you're in Zoom and you have it on mute, your space bar works as an unmute, which is awesome, unless you have your cursor in the chat window and then you're just typing spaces and it doesn't actually unmute you. So that's what's going on. And I feel like an idiot. But anyhow, back to the question, which is what's the difference between the Pinnacle Plus experience and Build Business? Well, Build Business is a much larger event, and Pinnacle experience traditionally is really targeted for our most senior marketers and business developers. We've got some great sessions for the Pinnacle experience this year as well. For Pinnacle Plus, we've got some great marketing focused specialists, and these will all be more symposium style. So everyone gets the same 8 speakers and they'll all be presented live. So really kind of the delivery methodology is very different. We've got topics on mentorship and on branding and on overcoming fear. If you haven't checked it out yet, head over to smps.org/Pinnacle Plus spelled out, and that'll show you all about Pinnacle Plus. It's really going to be another fabulous experience. Pretty wildly different from what we're doing on Build Business, though. So I think this is not a which do I choose. This is how do I get our company to pay for both? I think it's really going to be 2 great experiences. So please check those out.
Absolutely. We have another great question. What will the exhibit hall look like this year, and how can I interact with vendors? So we will have a virtual business exchange exhibit hall. You will be able to click on our company logos and have video chats with them. You will get great insight from our vendors. Many of them will be hosting exhibitor sessions. So there will be multiple opportunities for you to engage with our exhibitors throughout the entire experience. They will be available from Monday through Friday. So more to come on that. We will be launching the website by the end of next week. So you will be able to go in and check out who's there and look at the sessions and start planning your experience. You will get to do that. So I'm going to go back to Bethany. I'm going to go back to Bethany, circle back to you. So Bethany, you have something to share. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment a little bit on the previous question about the difference between Pinnacle and Build Business this year. And as Josh was talking about Pinnacle being very much focused on senior marketers, early on, our Build Business group got together, the planning committee got together once we realized that, the pandemic and the quarantine and everything that was happening in the world was here to stay for a while. We quickly started planning again. So I feel like we've actually planned 2 conferences this year. And it was very important for us that we wanted to make sure that we were offering content for junior level people just starting off in their career, people that are in that mid-manager level, and people that have been there for a long time. We realized quickly that a lot of the regional conferences did not get to happen. And there was going to be a space there that wasn't being filled for folks who usually go to a regional conference and get the skills there. So we wanted to make sure we brought that into this conference. So we expanded the scope, I would say, of what you typically see at Build Business to make sure that we were filling some of the gaps that had been created through the pandemic and just people trying to figure out how life was going to look. So I think that's something that you're going to get this year that you wouldn't normally get at a Build Business. And that's really that big, that big difference. You know, we're looking at not only some good networking and idea generation at Build Business, but also those skills that you can put into practice day one. While you're at the conference, you're going to be able to pick something up and do something different that's automatically going to make you more valuable to your company.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Bethany. I want to follow up on another question. Do we need to formally register for any of the daytime sessions or yoga or the DJ? That is a great question. You do not need to register. You have access to all of that with your registration. So once you get into the conference portal, what you could do is you could select and highlight the session so that it builds a personal schedule for you so that you know what you're doing each day. And it also sort of gives us insight into who's registered for what. And so it'll also share who else will be joining you in those sessions. So you can do that, but there is no special registration for the DJ session. It's during some of our breaks. You would just literally click on the link and it would open up live to you and you will be in the DJ session. So the same with the yoga, you would click on the link and you will be in the yoga session, and it's going to be a Zoom-like environment. So you would need to have your cameras on, and that's an opportunity for you to connect with other people who like yoga. So that was a great question. Another question.
Hey, Marcy as well. Could you add something too? Because I know we've talked about this. While you don't have to register for an individual session, aren't there limits, capacity limits for some of the sessions? Could you hit on that, please?
Yes. So for our Focus Forward sessions and our Hackathon sessions, there is going to be a limited access. So 75 people will be granted access. And once we hit that mark on that day, you will not be able to get access to that session. Of course, you can consume the on-demand version of that, but because it's going to be a Zoom-like environment and we are really encouraging interactivity, more than that is going to be a bit unwieldy in an environment like this because you won't be muted and things like that. So we encourage you to please set your schedules, think about where you want to attend and start, making your selections. And that's another reason why we have multiple options at each time slot. And Wally, I know you'll probably share on that. That's a great point, though. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll be checking your lanyards when you come into the room to make sure you're we won't. We won't have to do that this year. Never mind.
We won't do that.
There was one more question, Marcy, that I saw that came in about how long people are going to have the on-demand access for the programs after, if you wanted to talk about that as well, because that's going to be something, what you just spoke of, if you get capped out of a specific room that you were hoping to see in real time, you'll be able to watch it later on, but for how long?
Absolutely. So there will be 60 days of access. And there are programs that we will be able to pull out and put on our learning management system. However, things like the keynotes, we have limited access. So we do ask that you enjoy the conference. We hope that you join us live during that week, but you will have 60 days of access for the content. That's a great question. And that's all I have so far. I think that's it, Josh.
All right. So if we don't have any other questions, Wally, is there anything that you'd like to wrap us up with before we all sign off here?
Yeah, sure. We had talked about early, as we were kind of planning for this session, what are you really proud of? And I just want to share a couple of things with everybody. Bethany hit on my first point, which is the diversity of the content and the fact that we really planned, regardless of where you are in your career. One word that for me describes this is value. I think regardless of where you are in your career, you're going to get huge value out of this conference. The second thing, and somebody already spoke to this too, is the diversity of speakers. So, not only did we go outside of our industry, but we made a special, we really wanted to, what we were calling kind of give the conference back to our members, right? So for the skills accelerator sessions, you might see somebody speaking from your own chapter who you sat next to at an event, last year or something like that. So I think the diversity of speakers is really great too. And the last thing, and probably the thing that I'm most proud of, is, Bethany said we planned this twice. I think we planned this 3 times. And over the last couple of months, we went from every other week meeting with this, group headquarters and our conference committee. And then we changed it to an every week because we had so much to do. And it started out at 60 minutes and then it expanded to 90 minutes. And so I am so proud of everybody's commitment to bring the best experience to our members. And the one word, I'm inspired by that. And so to headquarters staff, to my fellow committee members, I just can't say enough. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done for the conference and for our membership.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wally. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to see everybody in person and to see your little Zoom heads floating around down there. I hope that helped answer some questions that everybody had. I know that I'm definitely excited to check out this first ever Build Business virtual experience. And I hope you're even more excited to join us. If you have not yet registered, head over to buildbusiness.org and register. And again, if you want that URL for Pinnacle Plus, it's smps.org/Pinnacle Plus. So if you have other questions, feel free to shoot those our way. You can email myself or Marcy. We are josh@smps.org or marcy@smps.org. Feel free to drop us a line and we will see you all next time. Thank you so much.